Greetings and welcome to Monster Legends for another special feeding episode. This time we're going to be feeding a fellow that I picked up at the recent El Colossal breeding event. This is the nemesis known as Nadiel the Pyromancer. He's very hot. Unfortunately, he also happens to be nature. I don't know if that's a dangerous combination for him, or maybe just the forest he happens to live in. But anyway, this guy is a legendary. He is nature. He is partially dragon, I guess. And he's also very exclusive. Unfortunately, he showed up with 2 locked ruin slots, which seems to be a pattern for nemesis creatures for me, him being the 3rd one. Now, I do have a temporary home for him, but housing is becoming a problem these days. So he's going to hang out with these guys until I figure out what I'm going to do with him. And you know he's old, because he had 3 evolutions. Alright, so where is he now? He's hiding in there. Okay, so he's hiding behind Sean. This is Nadiel the Pyromancer. He is nature, he is a legendary. He is also, from the little symbol underneath him, you can see he is a nemesis. He has a rather large trait. Alright, let's start with this. He is a nemesis. It gives him immunity to freeze, burning, and ignite. Okay, and status effects have a 30% chance to be less accurate against him. Let's see, he's immune to freeze, he's immune to burning, he's immune to ignite, and of course, well, basically this is the individual parts, what we just saw a moment ago. Couldn't they have just gone with that? I think that's good enough. Alright, let's look at his stats. His strength is pretty good. His life is okay. I mean, he's from a different time. Once upon a time, that was actually pretty good. His speed is actually very close to his strength here, so that's kind of good. Could be very useful, depending on his skill set. So let's check out his initial skills. Nature Avatar deals low physical damage to 1 enemy, and Life Messenger deals moderate nature damage to 1 enemy. And that rather complex special skill we saw, Plus Volution, deals very heavy special damage to all enemies, applies freeze to all enemies, deals low fire damage to each. Okay, so in other words, it's going to give them ignition. Right, alright, so it's going to do very heavy special damage to all of them. It's going to attempt to freeze them and attempt to give them ignition. So, ignition is a shorter term torture effect, but it does do more damage. Also, there are not many that have immunity to that. You know, like him. Nadiel belongs in the Cardinal Forest. He grew up outraged by what the non-nature monsters do to his home. They come seeking nature's help, but they give nothing more than destruction in return. For this reason, Nadiel plans to close the forest to all outsiders, using violence if necessary. You tell them. You go get them. Of course, you're a pyromancer. That can't be too good for the forest. Just saying. Alright, so he has actually has 2 evolutions coming. This is revolutionary. Actually, it's kind of ancient. It's from the past, right? Alright, so let's get to that first evolution. It's at level 4. Boom, there we go. Alright, so he's got 2 hands. One of them's hot, one of them's cold. And he's not here to help you with your back pain. No, he's not. Alright, so let's go because we need skills. Problematic insects. Applies guard down to 1 enemy. Okay, that's interesting. A little expensive, though. That's pretty expensive. It's got a 0 cooldown, but 27 just for guard down? 1 guy? I don't know about that. I'm guessing there'll be upgrades. Alright, so let's continue to level 10. Endangered Ecosystem. Removes all negative status effects from all allies. Heals allies by 30%. Alright, we'll probably hold on to that one because, you know, that just sounds all kinds of awesome right there. Not just removing negative status effects from his team, but he heals them too. That's not bad. Alright, so let's continue to level 15. Cool Owl. Deals moderate fire damage to 1 enemy, applies burn and reverse healing to 1 enemy. Oh, that's interesting. Why don't we throw it there? Can I get a group version of that? Alright, so let's continue to level 20. Covered by insects. Deals heavy nature damage to one enemy. Applies guard down to one enemy. All right, that's kind of interesting. And it's a lot better than that one. And that one was actually less stamina, too. I know it had a cooldown, but it's less stamina. And it actually did a lot more than the one we just saw a moment ago. Yeah, it was an initial skill. All right, so let's continue to level 25 and his final form. Huascaran deals heavy fire damage to one enemy, deals low fire damage each turn. Oh, it just gives him ignition. All right, so it's going to be heavy fire damage to one enemy, give them ignition, and then reverse healing. All right, that one is a better version of this one. They both have the same values here. So yeah, I mean, this is actually a better one. Well, this one gives burning, right? But this one over here does more damage, and it's the same values, and it's a 0 cooldown. So there's absolutely no reason to take the old one, right? All right, so let's continue. And by the way, there he is, his final form, and he's got a big old staff now, and it's really hot. So let's go to level 30. Individual ecosystem. Deals very heavy special damage to one enemy. Applies total damage reduction to one enemy. Ooh, we got to work that in somehow. I'm not taking that out. Nope, nope, nope. Why don't we put this here for now and then see if we get something that's better later? I mean, that's kind of cool right there. I don't think I would take that one out because that one has a 0 cooldown, you know? I mean, that one looks really good and total damage reduction is amazing. I don't know, we might have some skill issues here. So let's continue to level 35. Insects Plague. Applies guard down to all enemies. Ooh, I don't know about that one. And guard down is really good, but he's giving it to one individual here with a heavy nature attack, you know? I'm going to have to say no to that one. I may look back and change my mind later, but just for now, I think I'm going to say no to that. All right, so we should have 2 more left here. Nature Pack. Applies total damage reduction to all enemies. Ooh, that is just nice. I like the damage, but giving total damage reduction to all enemies is just really good. And it also solves my problem in terms of this one here, saying, okay, I got 2 single targets here. No, I'm just going to take that. He seems to be like damagey because he's a pyromancer, but he also seems supporty because he's got that, and he's also got this one over here, which I really don't want to lose, if you know what I mean. But we do have one more skill left, so let's just see what that is. Maybe we get it at 45? No, we don't get it at 45. All right, well, let's continue to level 50, maybe here. Bunin Yog. That's as close as I'm getting. Deals moderate fire damage to all enemies. Deals low fire damage to all enemies each turn. Reverse healing. Okay, so this is a group version of this. Only it doesn't do heavy fire damage. But it does hit everybody. It gives them ignition and gives them reverse healing. Reverse healing means if they have it and someone on their team attempts to heal them in some way, rather directly or through like regeneration or something, they will actually take damage for the amount they're being healed. Here's the big question now. Do I want to swap that out? All right, let's look at this situation. Do I want to... This is just really useful, and he does seem to be at least halfway supporty. So being able to shut all damage reduction on the other side, really just kind of good. What about this one? This gives guard down to one individual. Well, I got 2 single targets here. The difference is that this one here does the same as this. The problem is, of course, it has a 0 cooldown, which is really useful. But I think that I'm going to keep this one. I'm not losing that. All right, I'm going to put this one in for this because you got to have a group version of these effects down here if you can do it. It's just, they're very good. So we're going to do that. It does leave him in a bit of a hole if his cooldowns get activated, but I think the potential for destruction is just too good, right? All right, so let's just get him to 60 because I'm pretty sure we're done. Yeah, individual ecosystem. He has some good skills, but you have to pick, right? And you have to pick what it is you're going to use when you play your character. All right, so let's just verify by looking at the skills over here. All right, so this was the guard down for all. That's a good one. It's just that, I'm taking a lot of supporting ones. It's kind of between these two here, because otherwise the Pyromancer won't be doing any damage, maybe one damage skill. But in this case, I think total damage reduction is just kind of more useful, so that's the one I'm going with. This one here, of course, is a single target version of this one. It's the same effects, so, and as much as I want that 0 cooldown, I think I would rather have this one, All right, and this one here was the single target total damage reduction with damage on it, which is really nice. It does have a cooldown, but I'd rather do that to the entire team, And let's see what we have. This was the kind of a single target version of this, an earlier version, only it uses burning instead of reverse healing, so kind of obsolete. And that's guard down to one enemy, and these are the initial ones. Now I think he gets some stuff over here if he ranks up. All right, protect ecosystem, deals moderate special damage to all enemies, applies total damage reduction to all enemies. That would be a very nice replacement. It would fix everything in terms of this one, right? You would do a flat-out replacement over here. Would I do it? Yeah, absolutely. No reason to whatsoever. All right, and if you get him to rank 2, he does this one. Pack Nature Pack. Okay, who named that one? Deals moderate nature damage to all enemies, applies guard down to all enemies. All right, so obviously that is a group version of this. It does a little bit less damage, but it does do damage, and it gives everybody guard down. There was the other one, the guard down one, that didn't do damage, but if you're going to choose, then I'm going to choose this one. This would mean that I would have to have at least one attack that would target a single individual if they dodge group attacks, though. So you have to choose carefully and not just grab the best ones, right? Not even going to try. This is if he gets to rank 3, deals heavy fire damage to all enemies, and of course then ignition, and then burning, and then reverse healing. So this one here has everything that this one has, including better damage, and then it also adds in burning too. So that would be something you'd replace too. And you notice the costs for those are identical, so yeah, you would just do a flat-out replacement for that. And unfortunately, nothing more, but you know what? Those are pretty good ones right there. Pretty good ones. All right, let's check out his stats at 60. Strength is okay. Life is pretty good considering, at the time, right? Speed is nearly as good as his strength. I can understand why he has the speed, though, because he does have some supporty stuff along with setting things on fire here, right? And in terms of those skills, why don't we look at them? All right, I started with Nature Pack. Deals total damage reduction to all enemies, right? 2-round cooldown, only costs 16. Very, very useful. It means that if somebody attacks you who has this on, they're not going to do any damage to you. Now, if they're using a skill that doesn't affect, like a damaging attack that does stun, you'll get the stun, but you won't get the damage of the attack. So that's very, very useful right there. Then we have this one, and I'm not even going to try that one again. I'll hurt myself. Deals low moderate fire damage to all enemies, and then basically does ignition. Yeah, I guess in the old days they used to stick the text in for that. So ignition is a torture effect. It's going to do good damage for 2 turns, but it's also going to give reverse healing to the other team as well. And that means any healing will actually do damage to them. So depending on who's over there, that could be very useful. See Yamada, use this skill, right? Then we have Covered by Insects. Deals heavy nature damage to one enemy, applies guard down to one enemy, and guard down is very useful. If an enemy has guard down, it means they're going to get hit. They're just going to get hit. That's the default. If you're using a skill that has a 50% or some kind of a percentage chance of an effect on somebody who's got guard down on them, they're going to get the effect. You're just not going to miss if they have guard down. I do believe that if the attacker has like total blind on and the target has guard down, the attacker will hit the target. Guard down overrides everything. You will always get hit. There was group versions of this, but it didn't do any damage at this level. He gets a better one later. Would swap that out. But the thing is, this at the moment is my only single target attack. That one is a group one. That one is a group one. That one is a group one. The last one is actually support. When you're putting a character together and you're picking skills, you have to be able to target one individual. Otherwise, you'll run into that guy who's got the trait that he just dodges all group attacks and you'll never be able to hit him. So you gotta have that one. Even if you're sacrificing a better skill, you gotta be able to hit one target. All right, and like I mentioned, this one right here, Endangered Ecosystem. Removes all negative status effects from allies, heals allies by 30%. All right, so that's just really useful right there. Removing negative status effects means that if you're, like for instance, he's immune to freezing. If the rest of the team is frozen and he's not, boom, he can just remove negative status effects. They're not frozen anymore and just put some healing on top of that because they probably got hit by that attack. So just too good to let go, right? And of course, that makes him a better healer than Drek. No, I am never going to let that go. Anyway, he's pretty good. I mean, he's not modern, right? I mean, the Nemesis individuals are from a couple of years ago. I do believe it was a couple of years ago. But the thing about it is, they are kind of useful. This iteration seems to be more of a damage dealer type. I did try to get the Flutter 3 times, but I got rares. But I did get him on the one try that I got. It did actually cost me because I had to spend like 37 gems to wake up an epic in order to breed him. But you know what? I looked at him and I said, you know what? I want him. And he is actually my 3rd Nemesis individual. I just wish they'd stop showing up with locked ruin slots. All 3 of them, 2 locked ruin slots. Just stop it already. He's pretty good. Probably going to be testing him sometime in the future. Anyway, thank you very much for your attention. I really appreciate it. And play games because games are fun. See ya.